Hello and thank you for joining us today. I'm Mackailyn Johnson. Here are some of the top stories we're bringing you now at noon. Right now, Little Rock police are investigating an early morning shooting. What we know just ahead. Plus, everyone is talking about inflation right now, but what goes into finding that rate? We'll take a closer look for you in 7 minutes. And the Queen's coffin arrived at Westminster Hall and will lie in state to allow the public to pay their respects. Later, we'll have reaction from Britain as they mourn her death. But first, meteorologist Nathan Scott is here with us. We've had a good couple of days. It's been really chilly in the morning, and then that heat starts to come in. What can we expect today?
Good afternoon, Mackailyn. Yeah, it's because we've got a dry air mass in place. The ground is dry, so you get these wild swings that happen from the morning through the afternoon hours. This morning, we start off the day primarily in the 50s, but there were a few 40s that did show up. 49 in Mena was the low. It's 54 was the low in Russellville. 59 was the low in Stuttgart, 60 in the capital city, and 54 in Camden. Now those temperatures have recovered very quickly with all that September sunshine. Temperatures are already into the 80s for most places. 90 though in West Memphis. It's 84 in Pine Bluff, 82 in Hot Springs, and 84 in Clinton. The dew points still on the comfortable side. They're into the 50s, so we're feeling fine. And here are the current winds. Just a little bit of a wind coming in from the north-northwest, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. But with that dry ground in place, we're going to go for 90 degrees once again here in the capital city. Upper 80s to lower 90s across the board with low humidity. And if you're looking forward to some fall-like air because we just experienced false fall, I don't have good news for you because these 90s will be sticking around. It's going to get even warmer getting into next week. I'll have more on that forecast coming up.
This afternoon, we're following the latest developments in a shooting we first told you about this morning. Little Rock police say one person is dead following a shooting in southwest Little Rock. It happened on Dahlia Drive, that's just south of Interstate 30 near Baseline and Chicote Road. We're still working to get more info on this shooting and we'll update you on THV11.com as we learn more. And south of the capital city in Pine Bluff, police say one person is dead and 2 others are hurt after a shooting overnight. It happened around 2 a.m. near 20th and South Elm Street. Police say they found 60-year-old Jerry Simmons dead inside a home. The 2 other victims were taken to the hospital where one had surgery overnight. Police haven't made any arrests, and this is the 20th homicide in Pine Bluff this year. A developing story this afternoon. The Jefferson County Sheriff says the county's adult jail and juvenile center are running out of money to feed and care for inmates. Sheriff Lafayette Woods says funding issues at the county jail aren't anything new. He says last year the Quorum Court decided to slash the operating budget for the juvenile jail. That reduction is creating concern about how he can provide for inmates in an already crowded facility.
The more people you house, the more costs are going to be associated with keeping those people, the more food you're going to feed. We're required by jail standards to feed 3 meals a day.
County Judge Gerald Robinson says there's a reason behind the reduction. Last year, there was a hiring freeze in the county. Sheriff Woods wouldn't go into any detail, but he's seeking legal action against the county judge and says there could be more legal action from inmates. And it looks like we're nearing the end of a weeks-long court battle. The Arkansas Supreme Court is set to make a decision soon on the legality of the recreational marijuana ballot measure. On Tuesday, Secretary of State John Thurston officially declared the measure insufficient for the November ballot. This now clears the way for justices to make a final ruling. As we previously reported, the court conditionally approved Issue 4, whether to legalize marijuana for adult recreational use, so ballots could start being printed with the question on it. Next, the Supreme Court will decide whether to count the votes for that question. It all comes after the State Board of Election Commissioners rejected the ballot proposal, which was appealed to the state Supreme Court. Now for a closer look, universities and colleges across the natural state are seeing record enrollment, something not many can say in other parts of the country as fewer and fewer students are entering the path of higher education. At UA Little Rock, faculty tell me this trend they're seeing is widespread and isn't random.
At least in 10 years, this is the highest increase that the school has seen.
At the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, enrollment is hitting a new level for this fall semester. In some categories, the university is seeing double-digit growth. First-time freshman growth is up 29%, transfers are up 8%, and graduate student enrollment is up 5%. According to Dr. Kendall Holderby, Assistant Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management, this growth isn't being seen outside of Arkansas.
A lot of the two-year institutions got hit really hard by COVID, and their enrollment numbers were dwindling.
But how is UA Little Rock seeing a spike? Dr. Holderby credits it to a handful of things, but a major boost is what he calls the university's commitment to affordability. Some students have the opportunity of cutting their tuition in half, a head-turner for those worried about the cost of attendance.
We just kind of cut straight through all that and said, okay, for first-time freshmen, when you're coming here, if you commit to coming here, we're going to lock you in at 50% off your tuition and fees for not only your freshman year, but your sophomore year as well.
The school's success is mirrored at other universities across the natural state, too. It's something Dr. Holderby says he's proud to see and chalks it up to new normalcy.
Coming out of COVID, or at least learning how to live with it, and I think that helps play a role into why students and families are like, okay, it's time to get back to normal.
For the 5th time in 6 years, UCA has had freshman enrollment exceed 1,800. This current first-time freshman class likely the second largest ever. And at Arkansas State, they've surpassed a 14,000 enrollment for the first time since 2018. And happening today, UAMS is breaking ground on a $10 million child development center. The new center will be able to provide services for about 200 kids, ranging from infants to pre-K age children. At 11 this morning, the ceremony took place near the Hillary Rodham Clinton Children's Library and across from I-630 near the UAMS campus. The monthly inflation report out yesterday shows prices in most sectors are still stubbornly high, up 8.3% over last year. It's the statistic we're all paying attention to these days, but getting that number takes a lot of work from hundreds of people across the country. Bradley Blackburn takes a closer look for us.
Casey Wenzel isn't at the grocery store to shop, but she is searching for something very specific.
I'm looking for a 7.5 ounce can of mackerel.
Wenzel is one of 475 economic assistants with the Bureau of Labor Statistics who fan out across the country every month checking actual prices.
Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next item.
And how precise are we talking here?
Very precise, very accurate.
Down to the penny?
Down to the penny.
Pennies matter because they all factor into the Consumer Price Index, the monthly inflation rate used in calculations for everything from Social Security payments to salaries. Maureen McDevitt Green oversees price programs for the Philadelphia region.
I expect most people think that there's some computer someplace that's just like whirling around and spitting out a number, but this is very real.
They track prices for some 100,000 goods and services, everything from canned mackerel to cars, rents to repair work.
We price telecommunications, we price tuition, we price daycare, anything that you can think about, we're pricing it.
Wenzel has been doing this work for 16 years, and a day on the job means making calls to a gas station.
Price per gallon, please.
And stopping by a bike shop.
Great, thank you so much.
We can't show you the exact stores or products because their confidentiality is protected by law, but the data collectors are precise.
Have you ever thought about going on The Price is Right?
No. I can't believe you asked me that question.
Taking the guessing out of the prices that really matter. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Central New Jersey.
And while inflation and gas prices are falling, don't expect the same for the federal interest rate. The Federal Reserve says it's planning another rate hike expected at next week's meeting as it continues its effort to further tame inflation. Queen Elizabeth left Buckingham Palace for the last time today as she begins a historic procession toward Westminster Hall. Britain's new king led the solemn journey behind the horse-drawn gun carriage with his siblings and sons, Princes William and Harry, the royal family's grief on public display. The Queen's coffin is draped with a royal flag and topped with the crown she wore for her coronation in 1953. Elizabeth II will lie in state for the next 4 days. Some camped out for days to be among the first to pass her coffin.
She has that magic about her, much more than monarchy. She's an icon of icons.
Seems like the right thing to do, you know, being British, and that was my queen.
The Queen's state funeral will be held Monday at Westminster Abbey, where the monarch married the love of her life, the late Prince Philip, also where she was crowned queen. Mo Williams is a favorite among children and the young at heart. The writer and illustrator created popular characters Elephant and Piggy, the naked mole rat. After the break, we'll introduce you to his new friend, Pigeon. Nathan?
Well, Mackailyn, the official start of fall is about a week away, but summertime weather is